Hey everybody, it's Shadow Scribe here, and today I'm going to be going over how I approach drawing from reference. Now, whenever I'm looking at an image and I see certain things that I look for whenever approaching the images or the figure is shapes. What shapes can I instantly, point out while looking to simplify, the figure that I'm getting ready to draw? And the shapes that I normally look for is, triangles, rectangles, circles, your basic everyday you know, building shapes. So one of the things that I like to do is map out what shapes that I do see, already. And the next thing I'd like to do is also take a look at what other shapes do I see from the silhouette itself, from the outside of the figure to create because for instance where her hip is, well, the angle that is being created from this point right here, it's like a triangle can be formed from that angle. And with the triangle being formed from that angle, this lets me know exactly how deep that little curve needs to be between where her butt is and her hip, and also the angle right here that forms a triangle between her arm and you know her breast. So I like to look for these shapes that will help me to determine where, how to frame the character, how to frame the figure. um so one thing that I also like to do is to kind of rough out a little, outline of where everything is going to possibly be if I did draw it straight out, still using the knowledge of the different shapes that we've already um, kind of mapped out already. And so so the next thing what I would do is to go ahead and roughly put in a silhouette, keeping in mind everything that we just went over, a silhouette of the figure to try and you know uh, just to try to get everything in place, and then we're going to come in and do that light drawing to try to get things in place. And it's just, this drawing isn't something that we're really married to. It's just something that we're just doing to kind of flush out the body a bit, you know line using lines to really put things into perspective, I guess. So that's what I like to do when I'm approaching figure drawing. Just, and especially drawing from reference, is really just getting the basics out of the way. Basic shapes, and then coming in with the lines from the shapes that we've already created. I mean, that's what I did with the silhouette. But from this point, because we're looking at everything as shapes, we already know exactly. It just makes approaching it a lot more simpler. And it also helps to have a bit of knowledge on anatomy. Like, this is not like to say, okay, well, let's just skip over anatomy. That's not what I'm talking about. You should always study anatomy. And here, I like to lay in the skull to help me to where I'm going to place in my features for later. So I think it's a big thing to place in the skull so you know exactly where the features are going to land. One thing that I've learned from drawing is, one thing I used to do is drawing the head, and I would, after the fact, try to put in the features, and sometimes I might draw the eyes a bit too low, and which in terms allows me to have to draw the nose smaller, and then I have to draw the mouth even smaller, and so now it doesn't have much room for a chin, and that's a problem in itself. But what I like to do is just to go ahead and put the skull in, and this will help me to control those different areas. And see right here, you can see that I'm actually checking the angles from using the reference photo to see to make sure that I addressed every angle. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.